Their children were able to come in and hold Benjamin before he passed away. But he holds a very special place in everyone's heart who knew him and her. The next pregnancy loss that I want to talk about is a stillbirth. And this is the death of a baby before it's born or after it's born. So an early stillbirth, remember miscarriages are up to 20 weeks, and a regular pregnancy is 40 weeks. So anything between 20 and 27 weeks is considered an early stillbirth. A late stillbirth is of a baby between 28 and 36 weeks. And then a term stillbirth would be 37 plus weeks. When there's been a stillborn, there needs to be a birth certificate, which means you have to name that child. There also has to be a death certificate. Those are things we don't think about. And approximately half of the women who have a stillbirth or a pregnancy loss will get pregnant again within 12 months, which is an interesting fact. And then also by law, a baby who has had stillbirth has to be either cremated or buried. The next little guy I'd like to introduce you to is Patrick Nichols. Mama, Alicia, when she found out she was pregnant, they were excited. They wanted a big family, lots and lots of boys. I connected with Alicia after I found out she was pregnant. Her husband had gone to school with our son, so there was a connection there. I was checking in on her, just seeing how she was doing. She was doing really well. She was planning a home birth and was excited about that. At 30 weeks, when her midwife came to see her at the house, she couldn't find a heartbeat. So she sent her to her regular OB, and they couldn't find a heartbeat. So they did an ultrasound. The ultrasound showed that the baby was no longer with them, that the baby was dead. So Alicia went to the hospital in preparation to give birth to a dead baby. It was hard. It was hard on the nursing staff. Her background, they come from a very religious, outspokenly religious family and church. The family was all there shortly after the birth of this baby that was not alive. And they prayed and they wailed and they prayed and they laid hands on this baby. Jesus, bring this baby back. And he didn't come back to life. And that was almost harder for Alicia to handle than the death. I offered to come over to the hospital during that birth, and she said, no, we just want to be alone, and I respected that. Today, she says, I wish you had come anyway, because so much happened that she wasn't aware of that could have happened. So about 2 months later, I get a message from her saying that she had had a miscarriage. Very sad. She was then a couple of weeks away from her period, and she thought maybe she would be getting pregnant then as they were trying. She did get pregnant. Her hormone levels were very high. They were hopeful it was twins. So she went to the doctor a couple days later, And the reason, it wasn't twins, the reason the hormone level was so high was because she had an ectopic pregnancy. And so she had to go to the hospital. And what happened as she got there? Her tube burst. She's rushed into surgery. The tube is removed, and the baby is removed. Several months later, she called me and she said she was pregnant again. Remember, they wanted a big family. But then suddenly she starts spotting, and she hasn't even told her husband that she's pregnant. Then she's 8 weeks. She goes to the doctor. There's a baby in there. We hear a heartbeat. She's 9 weeks. They tell the family, I think I'm pregnant. Or not I think, but I know I'm pregnant. Let's pray I'll keep this baby. A couple weeks later, they had a real short, quick video or ultrasound of the baby. And the ultrasound tech said, it's a girl. It's a girl. Gender disappointment. They wanted boys. A couple weeks later, she had a doctor's appointment. The doctor couldn't hear the heartbeat. Sent her over for an ultrasound, and suddenly this little girl turns into a boy. She was excited. They had to go retell everybody, it's not a girl, it's now a boy. The baby has hiccups, and she can feel it. She's so excited about this baby that's growing. By this time, we're meeting together and regularly praying for this baby that everything will turn out okay. 28 weeks. The baby's approximately 2 pounds, 8 ounces. And she's put on bed rest because her feet start to swell. And she's dilated to 1. She sent me a picture of the little face of the baby, and it's this little fat, chubby cheeks. So then suddenly, she's 40 weeks, and the doctor says, I want to induce you because I want to have it in a controlled environment. So I come to the hospital, and the entire time we're praying, Lord, please help this birth go well. And this is Coley. Cully was born healthy and happy, and I saw him today, and he's a very active 3-year-old. So about 8 months later, I get another message from her. She's had another miscarriage, and then another one. And she says she feels embarrassed. My track record of keeping babies alive isn't very good. But then she thought, after her next miscarriage, she thought, I should have known. I'll probably lose this one too. Then I got a text on July 4th at midnight saying, I hope I'm not waking you. Do you know of an OB or a walk-in clinic that will be open on the 4th? We talked back and forth for over an hour. She was pretty sure she was having another tubal pregnancy, and the only tube that she had left. She had the same symptoms, everything was the same. She finally went to the ER the next day. She was definitely pregnant, but couldn't tell if it was a tubal or not. A couple days later, she had a doctor's appointment. It was a tubal. They said it was not a tubal. A few days later, she miscarried. Almost a year later, she ended up in the hospital with a major GI bleed. She almost bled to death. She told me that I don't think I think this journey is over. I don't think I'll ever have any more kids. I want to throw in the towel. Who could blame her? Who could blame her? As it turns out, she had 3 more miscarriages. The last one that was in the tube, it was growing outside of the tube. They were able to take the baby out and keep her tube. She's now waiting for another 1.5 years to try to get pregnant. But the comments that she and her husband receive, because everybody knew they wanted this large family, is so hurtful. When are you going to get pregnant? Collie needs a little brother or sister. So being aware of those situations is very, very important. So what happens? How do you minister to a parent who has either lost a child and they're still pregnant? They have to plan a birth. My suggestion is that you talk about it. Talk about it with them. Make sure that the spouse is involved. If there's other siblings, if they're old enough to understand what's going on, if the parents want them to be involved. So when a birth happens, who do you want to be there? Do you want a pastor there? Do you want a bereavement doula? Do you want your family there? Who do you want to be there? So they're preparing for a birth that they know they're going to have to also be saying goodbye to this child. We have Hines Hospice here in Fresno, and they have an excellent, excellent program called Angel Babies. And they also come out to the hospital and can follow up with you and put you in support groups. They just have a lot of services. There's no magic words to say to parents like this in this situation. No magic words. You might want to buy Mom a journal with some pretty pens so she can journal what she's feeling. Maybe Dad will want to add to that. Maybe the kids will. What they hope for this baby to look like, depending upon how far in the gestational age the baby is. So remember, like I said earlier, when you're given the news that baby is gone, dead, or may not live, you have a layer of grief. Baby is born. You have another layer of grief because you don't know what's going to happen next. Baby dies. You have another layer of grief. How many layers of grief need to be broken away and get into the heart of a mom? It takes a lot of time, a lot of talking, and a lot of patience. So if a child is born alive, what kind of a scene should we set in that room? It is a birthday. We should celebrate this child and enjoy this child for as long as he's alive. Take pictures of this child. Let everybody hold this baby. When there are medical decisions that parents have to make to say goodbye to their child, there really is no hurry. When it's time, a baby will go. Medical interference does not need to happen, and sometimes hospitals will put that pressure on people. Ask the nurses and the doctors, Can I have more time with my baby? I want to bond with my baby. Mom will know when it's time to say, okay, it's time. So you want to be prepared with any kind of bereavement counseling that you can find here in the area. Again, Angel Babies is perfect. I want to go back a little bit to the woman who's going to give birth, whether it's a baby that's alive or not, and assuring the parents that whatever they're feeling is okay. This is hard. This is really hard. It's okay. It's okay for it to be uncomfortable. What is my baby going to look like? If it's early enough, will it be all the way formed? We don't know. I can tell you what a baby at 20 weeks might look like. I can show you a picture of that so you can be prepared what your baby may look like. But we don't know. We don't know. Too many answers. We just don't have enough of them. Sometimes parents are afraid to be alone with this baby. Nurses can't stay in the room with you, but they're scared of something that might happen and this child isn't even alive. Again, reassuring them, it's okay. It's okay. Your fear is normal. It could be the first time that these parents, if they're young enough, have ever experienced a death in their life. Parents may still be alive. Grandparents may still be alive. They may have had nobody die. And so the entire grieving for a death is a double whammy for these parents. I encourage parents who deliver a baby, whether it's dead or alive, to name that baby. Call that baby by his name. This is Benjamin. Family, I want you to hold Benjamin. I want you to cuddle Benjamin. I want you to know Benjamin. So there's a few practical things that, of course, the parents are not thinking about. One is pictures. Taking pictures. I do this with my birth clients. I start taking pictures before I leave home. I take a picture of the front page of the newspaper, another picture of the date. I drive to the hospital. I take a picture of what the hospital looks like from the outside as I drive in. Might be in the middle of the night, might be early morning. Sometimes there's beautiful sunsets. Sometimes there's ugly smog. And then as I walk through the hospital, I take pictures of signs, the room number, different things. As I come in the room, I put my camera down and I'm quiet. And I observe what's going on in the room. I can see the monitor, I can see how close contractions are, how close or how far we might be from birth. I see how mom and dad are working together, and I don't want to interrupt that. If they need help, I'll wash my hands and I'll come and I'll help. But there's always memories when a child is not born alive that parents at some point will want to have. So if you've taken pictures, take pictures of maybe the monitors, parents grieving, but do it very carefully and very tastefully. Hopefully they've brought an outfit with them that they can put the baby in and they can dress the baby. If they don't, the hospitals do have the cute little undershirts and diapers, even though they won't really need a diaper. The nurses can still make a handprint. The nurses can still make a footprint. If that baby has hair, cut off a little bit of hair. Keep these things for this couple. They may not want it for a year. Maybe they'll want it right away. You can tell them, I have some memories. When you're ready, I will give them to you. And then, of course, being available for some